Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in to the webinar today. My name is Anshul. I'm the founder and CEO at VidiPen. What we do at VidiPen is we are managed marketplace for content. We help businesses create content for multiple channels like blogs, white papers, ebooks, and landing pages and things like that. Today, we have more than 1,700 writers working with us across different domains and geographies. Before we get started, I think we already have a lot of attendees joining in. So I'm just hoping to wait for a couple of more seconds before we get going and start with the discussion as well. I already have Surdeep with me on the session today. Surdeep, super excited for the discussion and going through the case study with you as well.
Too, I'm really excited. Thanks for having me here, Anshul. And glad to see so many people joining in. And we'll get started very soon.
Absolutely. So there's a lot that we have in plan. I'm hoping the audience is going to love the discussion as well. We have so many people consistently joining in. So I think we'll not wait. We are always on the point and to keep things in queue. So we'll start. So first thing first, folks, everyone who's joined in, you're in the mute. This is a webinar, so any questions and queries that you have, you'll see a Q&A section on your screen. Please share any questions that you have for me or Sudeep across the discussion, and at the end of the webinar, we'll pick those up, some of them, and we'll try to answer and solve your queries as well. This webinar is for around 30 minutes, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. Also, on your screens, you'll see an emoji icon. So any point of time you feel any sort of reaction, you can do that across the webinar as well, right? So before waiting any more time, so very simple. I think most of you are already aware about SEO, right? And how that becomes one of the very crucial steps for driving growth in the multiple organizations as well. But we always, when we think about product companies, one of the things that's very clear that, hey, how do we keep driving more and more organic traffic and ensure that the cost of acquisition is lesser, right? And because most of the times the ACV cost of some of these customers is also not that very high, and it becomes very challenging to continue and acquire these customers. And I believe product-led SEO comes into the picture there, where someone who's building the product right at day one and how they can build and align their product from a perspective of SEO and make it ready so that whenever they launch the organic engine sort of kicks in, right? Folks, we have Surdeep with us today. Surdeep comes with experience working with India Gold and Milo before he became an individual growth consultant. Today, he's been working in consulting multiple organizations in their growth journeys as well. I came across Surdeep on LinkedIn. I've been super fan of your deep dive posts and case studies that you do, and I think we couldn't wait for you to not to be here on this discussion today. So Deep, thanks a lot for joining in. Over to you. Would want to start the discussion and deep dive in the entire concept of product-led SEO with you today.
Right, definitely, Anshul. And really excited because, I've worked in startups for a long time, and growth was always a priority. And in the last few years, like you said, CAC is a problem. Marketing costs are going crazy. Everybody's thinking, let's just go burn money on Facebook and Google, and we'll get our sales. But if there is too much competition, how do you survive?
Absolutely.
I also had that pressure while I was working as a full-time employee at India Gold. And, during 2022, actually, is when RBI changed interest rates. So at India Gold, you're working as a fintech. And, that is when we really start to think about SEO seriously, because we had the resources, but it's a challenge to, pick a new growth channel. So I was in charge of that project. And, that is when I really began dabbling in it. And luckily, we had that AI revolution in 2023, and
Yes.
which brings us to this point. And I'm excited to share all the things that I could, do at India Gold, as well as that is how I got to know that, hey, actually there are so many companies that are doing a way better job, already in the
Absolutely.
market.
Yeah.
And yeah, so let's dive right in.
Yes. So I'll just pass on the screen sharing with you, and then you can take it up from.
Right. Cool. Chrome tab. Yeah. So can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Great. Great. So one thing I want to share with everyone before we begin, I would really, appreciate it if you could visualize as we go along with the presentation and the discussion. Whatever company you have in mind, keep visualizing how would you do it for yourself if you have not done it. Or if you have been doing some of it, how would you improve it? Do that visualization together as I share, a bunch of tactics that really work for me. So let's move on. First, I want to, talk about what's common in these companies, Anshul, what do you think?
Growth. I mean, when I
Of
look at
course, right?
Canva,
Of
Clickup,
course.
was awesome growth.
Right, right. And I brought in these examples to show, what awesome growth looks like over a span of years.
Yeah,
Let's look at Canva first. So if you look at the last few years, it has been a continuous growth. This is like a dream growth chart for any organization and operating at scale. So this chart shows organic traffic of Canva over, through the data is from Ahrefs, right? And
yeah,
they're reaching almost 200 million visitors as of now, which is, worth, they've gotten this value organically with no marketing spends, just, and a lot of it is through product-led SEO. Similarly, there's Clickup that's rising fast, and they've made lots of strides in the last 2 years.
yeah.
10x growth in 4 years, worth $70 million, right? And those two were, B2B SaaS softwares. There's also B2C that's benefiting a lot, by designing their product-led SEO strategy correctly. And we have Groww. Groww recently also surpassed, uh, not just in
The
organic traffic, but also, in revenue,
yeah,
became the market leader. Moving on to the agenda, just the structure of this discussion. Before we dive into, we know AI is hot, but you need to really understand what makes up for product-led SEO. And then, we talk about the points wherever we can speed up the whole process with an AI tool, you know. That is why understanding PLSEO is what we start with. We talk about a bunch of case studies. I'll talk about some strategies and tactics that I've personally used and benefited from, which I also suggest to my consulting clients. And lastly, we'll have the Q&A.
super. Looks interesting.
Right. So fundamentally, when we talk about product-led SEO, I like to think of it in three parts. Of course, there is product, there is SEO, but there's also marketing.
Hmm.
At the intersection is product-led SEO. Now, how it is different, how from your old school SEO, the traditional SEO that has been around for almost 20 years or so, as long as Google has been there, or even before that. Uh, so we'll talk about that, and we'll also discuss why the concept of marketing is really important when it comes to product. If I have to define the product strategies that really matter here, I would like to highlight this word non-linear approach. Whenever you're building a product, especially a tech product, why are tech companies valued so high? Why are engineers paid so much? Why are product managers paid so much? Is because you build once but you sell twice,
Hmm.
and you do it non-linearly, you do it exponentially. That's what we saw in our growth charts as well, right? Those growth charts that reflect the growth, uh, they have a lot more thought built in behind, months and years behind, which reflects later, and they keep getting rewarded daily, right? So that's what we're going to discuss. I will dive deeper into these aspects, the pillars of each of these. So let's start with SEO first, which is the one most people would be familiar with. Everyone talks about content tech and links, which is similar to your old school SEO. That is true, right? And you might want to feel like कि भी हाँ ठीक है, SEO में we have content, we have links also, we can use it tools like ChatGPT or whatever to quickly churn out content. But that's just one small piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And my idea of breaking it down this way is to help you visualize what other pieces can uh, set right, so that your overall product-led SEO strategy leads to actual traffic that converts. So within SEO, we have content, we have tech, we have links or backlinks, authority building. Moving on to product. Within product, we have strategy, we have execution, and we have user experience as well. Now, when we're talking about strategy, uh, this is where I would want to, spend some time. Let's, start thinking about our current product, whatever company you're working at, whatever business you're building right now. uh, you would have some strategy in mind. This is how I'm selling, this is what works, this is what we tried in the past, did not work, etc. Maybe bunch of you would have tried SEO in the past and felt like, we keep putting in the effort, we are creating so much content that's so good, but it's not ranking. Why I highlight the strategy part of product is because we'll, as we discuss in our case studies, you'll realize that this is what drives uh, the core of product-led SEO.
Yeah.
Right? We'll also talk about some examples of how I executed, but also the tools that I used to execute to make the execution easier, and of course user experience as a signal to the Google algorithm that this is a website worth ranking. Within marketing, I will not go very deep into marketing, but the idea is you will have to keep. So this is basically one of another pillars that is sort of the backbone of the whole strategy when we talk about product-led SEO. If you forget this, you will face a lot of pain while implementing your product-led SEO strategy. If you do it right, you may not notice, right? Is what I mean.
I think marketing is what drives conversion, right? While you put in the
Correct.
product at the center, and then you do all the SEO process and execution. If the positioning is not correct, if your messaging is not correct, if your usage of the product and the understanding of the ICP is missing, I think the conversion sort of takes a toll, right? So having a proper blend of product SEO marketing, it's sort of it's super critical. So
Correct. Definitely. So just as a recap, on the pillars that we discussed. Moving on to our case studies.
yeah.
Now, I picked this specific industry, hiring marketplaces, because it has factors of both B2B and B2C as well.
Hmm.
And we have huge players, we have small players, and as we go deeper, we'll know that bunch of smaller players have done a much better job than the larger players as well. And
Right.
what did they do different? That is something to wonder about. So let's think about the strategy first. Again, like I mentioned, right? Strategy is gonna be really important before we dive into execution or start thinking about what content to write, etc. The first thing whenever I begin, uh, keeping, let's say these hiring marketplaces in mind, what is the end goal? You know, is it revenue? Is it app installs? In this day and age, traffic simply does not suffice. Basically,
Right.
nobody's happy with getting lots and lots of traffic that doesn't really convert into revenue. uh, so you have to keep that in mind and build your strategy around it. Now, how do you build it? The first thing I do is I spend a lot of time in keyword research. That brings in so many insights on what makes sense for us to do given the conditions of the market. Anyone could start a hiring marketplace. There are so many no code tools as well. You could theoretically build that product really fast these days. You might even get templates at a really low cost. But uh, but can you win? How do you win? Right, that is where keyword research plays a big role. And obviously, and fulfilling the needs of the users through content, and then eventually your own product or service. Now, getting deeper into the tactics, we picked the SaaS case studies of hiring marketplaces. So whenever you're thinking of hiring marketplaces, there's a candidate side, there's a recruiter side. Candidates, you would always assume, that is the B2C side with higher search volumes.
Yeah.
That is usually where I start because, there is always sufficient data when I'm doing keyword research to find patterns.
Yeah.
To try and link them to eventually to revenue. Now think about, before we go deeper into, keyword themes, look back at that first step. What was the end goal? Start with the end goal in mind. Let's consider revenue as the end goal, right? You have to think, when you're thinking B2C side of the product, uh, how does revenue come for a marketplace? Do the candidates pay to a marketplace like, let's say, LinkedIn or Ambition Box or Glassdoor? Usually not.
Hmm.
Maybe there are premium listings, maybe there are uh, uh, places where you have the opportunity to highlight your profile through a
Yeah.
premium, maybe LinkedIn premium you buy and your profile shows up a lot. But is LinkedIn optimizing for that, or is LinkedIn better off by optimizing for the recruiter side?
Hmm.
Right, start with the end goal in mind. Therefore, so one is that. Now think from a recruiter's perspective also. Let's say you have a bunch of recruiters uh, who are looking for high quality candidates. What would high quality candidates be looking for when they come across your business? That is what you really want, right? Recruiters say revenue, you will get revenue from recruiter when they see a lot of great candidates they hire through you.
Hmm.
Of course they will give you a chance, but the real long term revenue comes from that. Therefore you need high quality candidates. Now how do you find high quality candidates, right? It's a sort of a chicken and egg problem. But if you have revenue as the end goal in mind, it becomes easier to keep narrowing down to the problem, which is why I've highlighted this example. Product manager salary. When a candidate is searching for salary of a particular role, they are probably more towards a mindset of switching to a particular role. They are likely to be a more ambitious person who would make that switch. Think from a recruiter's perspective or a marketplace's perspective. They make money when candidates switch jobs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, they may not be the best candidates, but they make money when they switch jobs. So the candidates have to be ambitious. They have to be looking at salaries, right? That is the core idea what I'm trying to communicate here. So this is just one example keyword theme I wanted to highlight. uh, Going deeper, analyzing.
If we
Right.
go a little step back and if you
Yeah,
were trying to think of it more from a product, because this is very important, I believe, right? I think the first element of product setting up, what kind of themes you can identify and shape your product's growth as well. I think this is very relevant. So are you also saying that we keep what a user is trying to do on a product and think of it, think of that activity essentially as a use case? So for example, I know that a lot of times when when hiring teams are planning to purchase, to buy a subscription to any of these platforms, they would look for assessments. They would look for how, to look for how certain tests can be done for a particular role. Like say, there are tech roles which are being assessed. There are, aptitude tests. There are language tests, language proficiency tests. A lot of these things, right, where people can do some of those tests on the platform. And I believe, say, imagine there are hundreds of tests, and if HR tech platform can create a single page for each of those use cases, it's basically driving SEO through that as well, right? So
right, right.
right, do you agree with that? And also, I think one more thing, if I it'd be great if we can touch on here, is thinking about product led SEO as a contrast to programmatic. Because again, when I think about programmatic, it's a very, very larger scale as compared to how PLSEO is. So if you can share some contrast with that as well, that would be great.
Definitely, definitely. Actually, I would say the answer to both is in this slide. which is, getting into keyword data. Now
Hmm.
that now if you look at, suggestions that you get while you use Google or any search engine, that will give you an idea of how many possible keywords could be that people could be searching for them. But do they search, and how much do they search? That is where you find the answers to you both the questions. One is, what is relevant, and second is whether to fulfill it through programmatic SEO or through product-led SEO. How to think about it. Now, while this pattern may look like it is closer to a programmatic SEO thing, you look at the keyword search volumes, there is a lot of difference.
Hmm.
Uh, if you look at, let's say, location as a variable, and we'll get to the keyword themes as well in the next slide. If you look at location as a variable, product manager salary in Bangalore, or in India, or let's say in US also, you have lots of keywords, right? That is location based, versus whether to fulfill it through a long form blog or programmatically is decided basis, you know uh, is there a pattern. So location based pages may be more easily fulfilled through, a programmatic case
Programmatic,
where
correct.
you
Yeah.
you know create a template and then create
Got
thousands
it.
of pages,
Got it.
where it's okay for the volume to be very low also,
Hmm.
because your effort is also low. But
Yes.
think about a, keyword with a large volume where there is no apparent pattern. Maybe
Got
more keywords where, there is very specific intent. For example, someone is searching for best recruitment companies in India or best product based companies in India, and you want to bid on that. You are a challenger company. You
it. Hmm.
want to try to get ranked on that keyword.
Yeah.
So it may be better to, think of it as a product led SEO where you have the right to rank. Your
I agree.
product serves the intent, but you don't have to create thousands of pages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you maybe start with the central theme pages, which are the key intent that you want to achieve with the product. And then once you have larger bandwidth, you scale it as a programmatic, doing multiple locations, sort of a driven, and find much deeper themes or sub themes between them. And that can be then fulfilled through programmatic as a process as well.
Like, definitely,
Got it.
definitely. Now I'm going to highlight programmatic a bit more, is because, while you pursue programmatic is also, while you do that keyword research for programmatic is also when you identify the keywords that cannot be fulfilled programmatically.
Okay.
So you do both together, and then you have to weigh your options whether to do it, via thousands of pages or just build one page that wins,
Right.
right? So continuing on our, hiring marketplace SaaS example, there is a product manager salary in location. Uh, the search volume is, I would say, it's a little bit. This was a decent search volume, but the intent was closer to, someone probably in a research mode.
Got it.
Uh, right? Ki मैं शहर, because think of it as like how often do you change your location?
Hmm. Hmm.
Versus, you being clear that this company is what I want to research on.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
clearer about like this is where I want to go. Now this is closer to, this candidate being in a mindset of switching. Therefore the hiring marketplace can make more money, right?
Right.
And the search volume is also higher. Now the third case is, clearly targeting recruiters,
Hmm.
someone who would want to hire a particular programming language developer. Search volume is not a lot, but it's clearly gonna make a lot more money,
Yeah.
more likely to make that money. So maybe in this case, at some point, programmatic will stop making sense also. You might say, they're just, there are only 5, 10 programming languages that really we really want to rank for, where we
Yeah.
get maximum candidates. So if it's just about 10, do we need programmatic? Maybe we can just create 10
I
articles to rank.
I agree. I agree. And then these 10 pages could be very, very in-depth, answering every simple question, very strong copy, very strong content and information to drive that growth. Got it.
Right, right. Which brings us to, one important question. This was the third step, by the way, of our process. First,
Yeah.
we talked about strategy, then we talked about keyword research, and now we're going to talk about content quickly. And, this is the core question I feel like, most of my clients have. I also have while, I was working at India Gold. Uh, how much of AI content is okay to create, and where do you bring in the human writers versus do you not dabble, because there are case studies right in the market. For example, there was one case study that got really famous. Someone pulled off an SEO heist. They
Mm.
stole 8 million traffic or something from a competitor by just copy pasting all of the content, launching in a new site
Yeah.
using AI. Now, because that got so much traction, they got hit by a Google penalty also, and then their traffic went to zero overnight.
Yeah.
And you know, so how do you decide what is the right balance? The way I think of it is, end of the day, are you creating enough value that the user would stick? Because if the user is able to find value in that content, whether it's through created through AI or through a human,
Mm.
uh, that is what matters. That is the signal that Google cannot ignore.
I
The
agree.
case study that I'm talking about, the one that got hit, actually had created, lots of shallow pages with informational intent content, just a bunch of formulas, etc., which really were not adding any value to the whole ecosystem as a whole. Of course, also to users. They just started ranking just because it was a lot of fluffy content that the person went live with. But for example, at India Gold, or in any of the clients I'm working with, what we do is we only use AI right now to create content outlines
Mm.
uh,
Okay.
and templates. What we do as an execution, strategy is figure out what is AI doing really well. Because when we ask the, let's say I use ChatGPT 4 a lot. I
Okay.
Whenever I ask it to create a whole article, uh, I just find so many mistakes. I
Yes.
feel like it's better off, to just use it to cover the outline comprehensively. And that outline is created really fast and it's
Yeah.
really good. And then we add our own touch. This complementary strategy has worked really well for us. We've been able to grow really fast with two of my clients. It's just been 4 months, and we're seeing so much growth in our traffic. uh, Talking more specifically about the the company that I can reveal a lot more about is India Gold. Now, India Gold is in the business of, offering gold loans, which is, lending money by acquiring gold of customers. So it's a mix of offline and online. Uh, while I was there, they were only present in 9 cities. So we were limited by our location, right?
Mm.
So now if you're thinking of SEO, usually you do not have control on, which cities your page ranks in,
Yeah.
unless you build very specific city relevant pages,
Yeah.
right? Which is why we built this. Now, the core proposition of India Gold, which brings us to the concept of, marketing and positioning. India Gold was positioned to say that you don't have to go to a bank branch to get a gold loan. Our loan manager will visit your home and collect your gold and disburse right at your home. You don't have to do it. It's just like using Swiggy or Uber.
Yeah.
And your gold will be safe and it is insured, etc. So the core proposition that we were attacking, the position we were taking as a like as the marketing positioning part of it, was that you don't need to go offline to a branch, which is why we built this gold loan branch locator, because people do search for a gold loan branch near themselves.
Right.
They want to search gold loan branch in Mumbai, in Delhi, or near them. So we built this gold loan branch locator. We got the data of all gold loan branches of the countries of all brands and showed that in one place. Users usually never find multiple banks branches in one website, is because every bank only shares their own website, own branches, right? They
Right.
have incentive to promote someone else, right? But our incentive was that you look at branch, and it's okay if you want to go, but you don't have to. You could just get a gold loan sitting at your home in 30 minutes. Our loan
Correct.
manager will visit you. That's how we got a lot of business through SEO. And now
Interesting.
I'll show you the growth in traffic through programmatic and product-led SEO. So this
Interesting.
is, yeah, what we were able to accomplish in less than a year's time frame. uh, and eventually to be able to say that our paid marketing and SEO are giving the same amount of business. We could not grow more in paid marketing without increasing our CAC, but our SEO efforts still, reduced our CAC by a lot.
I look at the screen and I feel there's so much that, there's so much relatability that a lot of founders, marketers want to achieve at this sort of a growth. And doing this, with SEO as one timer effort, it's crazy. It's really good.
Right, right. So there were so many learnings, and of course, so many mistakes made, but still, the chart reflects that net we sort of benefited from it.
Net, we made money.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. Uh, right. So, talking about some AI use cases, more specific. Now we talked about keyword research also, right? Uh, Now, how I have been personally again using a lot of this is, if you take ChatGPT Premium, it is worth the money. It's worth every rupee, every dollar. And I use it a lot for data analysis as well. I just simply download a file from Ahrefs or any tool for keyword analysis and ask it through a prompt
Right.
to find those keyword patterns, to find those areas where it should be easy for my business to rank. Similarly, like I explained that use case of creating content templates, it works better because sometimes when you're designing a content around a particular search intent, you may miss one or two things, and
Hmm.
that gets quickly highlighted by that AI tool, and you can move on to uh, your improving your strategy.
Yes.
Third thing I want to just highlight, I'm not a great engineer because I can't code, but I learned data scraping as well with the help of ChatGPT. And like I said, you remember that gold loan example. Where did we get that data from? We simply scraped our competitors. You scraping, is how Google began its business. Right? Google is built on that, and whatever is available publicly, shared with the users. We, it's just like there's no problem in uh, getting that data and displaying in it uh, in the right way, right?
Yeah.
We were not saying that don't go to these branches. We were saying you can still go, but it's just easier if you sit at your home and order a loan manager at your home. Moving on to my AI stack. I like to keep it simple. I don't use too many tools. I know there are many hundreds and thousands of tools in the market, but these are the ones I use very regularly. GPT plus, I would say the $20 that I spend in a month, I get a return on spend of maybe 1,000 times or more, probably. Perplexity is a tool, closer. I would say there are some similarities with ChatGPT, but mostly I use it for research whenever I need a lot more sources. Because sometimes ChatGPT shares info that makes me doubt whether that is
That is very
factually
good.
correct or
Yeah.
not. Right? Canva is again, we talked about that, and mostly Canva I started using is because I was searching for specific things that, like, Canva always ranked on top for them, and
Yes.
slowly over time they got me to sign up, they got me to buy premium. I did not even realize. I always searched for my use case, that I want to create this kind of a image or this kind of a chart, and Canva sort of popped up every time. That's how I got. And Read AI is a tool that increases my productivity a lot because it just automatically creates meeting notes and actionables after every meeting. So I again bought premium for this. Has been a fantastic purchase.
Super.
Uh,
Super.
yeah. Now the recap. We looked at the three core components of product-led SEO. All the pillars that you need to keep in place. You can obviously mess up some pillar and it may not show up immediately, but over time you realize that you need to have a balance of all these pillars. Like, for example, at India Gold we never invested in building authority or building links, but we did not, we could have grown even faster, I would say, if we invested. But
Hmm.
just because, I did not have the expertise at the time, I would say. So we proceeded with caution that way.
Got it.
One more recap is, about the core tactics that we discussed. It was about finding best keywords, finding keywords that are closer to our, revenue based intent, whatever the goal is, whether it's revenue or app installs or something else, closer to those. Creating content within that, for example, you could research using Perplexity, and then create an outline through GPT, and that this makes sense or
Yeah.
not. It doesn't take too much time, and then hand it over to your writer. uh, and we also talked about building data scrapers using GPT-4. It has become really easy. Just keep walking through a long conversation. And I also mentioned that read.ai for improving project execution. I'm operating as a growth consultant, but I would say at this point, using AI tools, I'm able to, do work with more companies, make more revenue while working less. Uh, and I'm sure that was not possible, in 2022 or earlier, because there were just not enough AI tools that were, available at a consumer scale.
Absolutely.
Just last slide, I would say. This is just for your, like I said right in the beginning, it really helps if you are able to visualize in your context what do you do now, right? You went through a lot of theory in around 30-35 minutes, and what do you do today, right? So this is a starting point. I would say you can do it right now, is just check your domain authority. If it's fairly high, but your traffic is not enough, I would say that's an opportunity ripe for product-led SEO. You can get started right away, I would say. And second thing you should do is check out your own keywords, find your own keywords. And I would say this, that if founders do this, they just accelerate it so much more.
Yeah.
Whenever I get feedback from some founder that why don't you look at this keyword theme or this, keyword, just explore. Why is this guy ranking? I immediately add it to my plan. And, I see that expands my horizon so much faster.
Absolutely, absolutely. On that note, Sudeep, I'll be honest. Like, I think even at Vedeepan, when we are building new features and when we are launching new additions to our platform as well, one of the key, priority, the way how we also identify priority is how many people are searching for that feature, right? And if we have that, and if we have a page right, at the start of it, it just makes the process so much better because we start seeing some sort of attraction coming in organically as well, and that sort of works almost all the time.
Right, right, definitely.
Right. Super. So I think Sudeep, thanks a lot for all the discussions. Now we'll move on to our Q&A section. Right. People have been, some of the people have asked questions. I already have a couple of questions beforehand as well that I wanted to actually to take you through. Folks, if you have any further questions, go to Q&A, and we do have a couple of minutes and ask, and we can cover any of your questions and doubts that you have, and Sudeep can help us answer them. Right. So the one of the first questions that I have in mind is, what are the so when we are thinking about product-led SEO, are there any specific metrics that we look forward to? When we are measuring the growth perspective, anything that we should watch out while we are, going into that entire journey of working on PLSEO?
Right, right. So when you're just beginning, I think domain authority is something I start with whenever I'm evaluating an opportunity. Because that forms the foundation. If
Hmm.
it's too low, basically that is a signal to us that product led, Google doesn't think that you are the authority in the space.
Okay.
So that makes this strategy risky. That way you might put in a lot of effort and might not get returns. And that's the starting point. And moving on, let's say you're already executing, and so that is where those three components come into play: product, SEO, and marketing. All of
Got it.
these have their own metrics,
Yeah.
that are famous in the industry. You, with product, you have OKRs, SEO, you have on page checklists, etc. Of course there are output metrics like traffic, and there is backlinks. All of that, I know that matters, but when it comes to, right, when you're just beginning,
Yeah,
I would say just look at the authority. Do you have the right to win?
got
If
it.
yes, then, if you create the right product, it will eventually, pay off.
Awesome. So, I have one more question. I mean, a couple of questions coming in, but the other question is, what about like industry benchmarking? So, when you're doing a competition analysis in your industry, so do we do that and analyze when we are getting started with the PLSEO as a
Yes,
process?
definitely, definitely. And within SEO, it actually makes our whole job easier, right?
Yeah.
You use tools like Ahrefs. I use SEMrush as well.
Yes.
Again, do not have to go into that shiny object syndrome of using too many tools. Just a few that are the proven winners, right? And when it comes to industry analysis, uh, uh, take fintech or hiring marketplace. How do you know? Look at that growth curve, who's growing faster.
Got
And
it.
I talk about content velocity a lot. For example, how quickly your competitor is publishing pages or
Hmm, hmm.
acquiring new backlinks. That tells you where they are going to be in, maybe a few months. so,
Got it.
so
Got
keep
it.
an eye for someone who's publishing really fast, you know and then
Interesting.
take a decision from your own common sense. Also, they may be heading down the wrong path also, right?
Absolutely. Sudeep, we have a couple of more minutes and a few more questions coming in. We'll take quickly one by one. Some of the questions very simple. If I have 48 as a DA, do I need to do PLSEO or not?
I think 48 DA, you have a right to do
Yeah.
PLSEO. You should definitely explore it. And if you know, find it's easy to find competitors who may be doing well organically. You have to start thinking, start applying that product thinking. How would you do it really fast, really exponentially? And at 48 DA in your domain, uh, I like to also take one more example. As an engineer, I am not qualified to talk about medical, right? I may have a DA of 48 in the engineering domain as a, let's say, a developer website, but then I cannot start publishing medical pages. It
I
doesn't
agree.
make sense, right? Authority has to be in a direction. So
I agree.
mostly
The,
yes.
the domain relevance also plays a key role. I agree. But I think 40 is a good start, right? I think a lot of
Right.
times people are still searching in the website, still ranking for some of the terms which are not yet created as specific pages, and users are coming to that. So just have a look at your webmasters and you'll be able to find those opportunities very fast. Another question: how to get traffic on bottom of the funnel content as those keyword doesn't have high search volume?
Right. So think of it as this way. Is there a pattern? Are you talking about a single keyword, or is there a pattern in keywords that you can fulfill programmatically? If there is a pattern, then if you launch one template that services, again, take an example of a city-based page. Let's say gold loan in Delhi, right? Gold loan in Noida, gold loan in Mumbai, etc. You can create thousands of such pages for thousands of cities, and even if the search volume is low, your effort is even lower,
Yeah,
so it might make sense. But when it comes to a bofu keyword that is very specific, best personal loan apps in India, unlikely that there's a pattern that they would be looking at. Personal loan apps for a specific city might not make sense because
mm,
personal loan is dispersed digitally. So therefore, you can create one really high quality article and have a right to rank on that.
interesting. So few more questions coming in. I think I'll take one more. I think so. So let me pick this. Backlink in the same niche. Backlinks can be from anywhere, only guest posting or paid links. So the question is about backlinks. If it is a new website, what should be the process and what are the best practices that one should have to drive more and more backlinks to again to improve DA possibly.
Right, right. So while Google suggests that you never need to worry about links and just create quality content, but from experience that I know that you will have to get something at least, right? And it's better to buy highly relevant placements, I would say. And the best case scenario is you can if you do digital PR around your company, that hey, this is who we are, here's our website, and you publish in a big famous publication like maybe Your Story or Hindustan Times, that may be much more worth when you're just beginning. And that signals to Google that yes, these are legitimate businesses that are trying to operate. That's a great way to start. And if your DA is low, I would still again recommend proceed with caution. You might invest too much time or resources into product-led SEO when you really should be investing in building a brand first, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's super relevant. Sudeep, we'll take a wrap here. I think if we have any further questions, we'll put it in the email to you, and you can answer them from there. Coming back, I think we had a wonderful session, Sudeep. I think thank you for joining in, and thank you for taking us through the entire process of product-led SEO and the fundamentals as well. Right, as a thank you from our side at Vidipen, so we partnered with this organization called as Sankalp Taru. It was one of the first motivators of this NGO were our ex-president, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad. What this NGO does is basically they plant trees on around rural areas in India to promote sustainability, and we have done that for you at Vidipen, right? So we planted a tree on your behalf through Sankalp Taru. Just wanted to share the certificate of taking out your time and being here with us and sharing your knowledge. I think this is the way we also give back to society.
Right.
You can have a look
Amazing.
at the tree that we have done. We'll send it across to you as a certificate after the webinar as well. So thanks again for joining in. For everyone else, right? If you just wanted to recap for folks who did not join early, Vidipen is a managed marketplace for content. What we do is we help brands create content for all the marketing channels like blogs, white papers, ebooks, and all of that. If you're just getting started with the content, we have also launched a couple of tools on the platform. So they mentioned about creating outlines, creating content calendars, and how AI can essentially scale up your entire content creation process and make your marketing much easier. Just sign up on Vidipen, you'll find some of these tools. And if you don't know how to use ChatGPT, you can give a try to these tools, and that will make your process much more easier, right? So I think until next time, thanks everyone for joining in. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll catch up the next time as soon as we possible. Thank you.
All right.